Hey, what's up you guys? Today I wanted to do a video discussing Good Omens by Terry Pratchett and Neil Gaiman. So Good Omens is a book about an angel and a demon who are living on Earth. Armageddon is happening, and so they decide that they don't really want Armageddon to happen, so they try and stop it. That's essentially the premise of the book. And it is super funny and super fun, and I really enjoyed it. Overall, I would give it a 4 out of 5 stars. The beginning and the end of the book were both really strong in my opinion. I'm gonna call the angel Az. I can't really pronounce his name, so that's how I would read it, was just Az. So anyways, you've got Az and Crawley. Crawley is the demon. In the beginning, you get to meet them, and I feel like it's really strong because they're really enjoyable characters to read from. But then in the middle, it starts to get a little slow pacing-wise, just because you don't really see where this is all gonna lead up to. And then in the end, it kind of picks back up again and gets really exciting. So the beginning and the end are probably the strongest bits of this book, and the middle is just something you have to get through. But if you do get through it, it is definitely worth it because the end is great. Even though the middle part is a little bit slow, it is still super funny, so it is still super enjoyable. The writing style of this book honestly reminded me a lot of Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy, so if that's a book that you like, you'll probably like this book too. And then I also really love the use of foreshadowing in this book. It was used very well and very interestingly. Normally whenever you get foreshadowing, it's not super obvious, but in this book you get a lot of prophecies, you even get a horoscope in there, so there's just a lot of things that kind of give you something to expect, but it doesn't really happen the way that you would expect it to. So anyways, it's a super good book. I highly recommend it, and it is a Amazon show. I have not watched the Amazon show yet. I'm going to start that tomorrow, and I've heard good things about it, so I will let you know what I think once I watched it. But overall, this was a pretty enjoyable book, a great fun light read. It reads very, very fast, so I do recommend it, especially if you like Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy. It really reminds me of that, where there's just a bunch of random stuff happening, but somehow it all comes together, and it's really cool how it all comes together. So now that I have kind of given you my brief overview thought, I'm going to launch into a spoilery section. So if you have not read Good Omens, I'm gonna say you should probably leave now and go read it so that you can come back and discuss in spoilers with me what happened in it, or maybe watch the TV show. I don't know how similar they are yet. So let's just kick it off with how this book begins, which is in the beginning. So this book starts off with the beginning of the world, and I do apologize for my cat again. She is insane right now. It's like 3 o'clock in the morning and she is bouncing off the walls. So we start with in the beginning, and in the beginning, you know, God created the heavens and the earth. So you get to see the earth being made, which is super cool, and you get to meet Crawley and Az, and they are super fun, a super fun duo. They're kind of like two sides of the same coin, and that's something that I really enjoy. At one point in this book, it talks about how they kind of run a zero-sum game with their jobs because Crawley wants to do as much bad, Alice wants to do as much good, so they kind of have to give a little bit so the other one can get what they need, and vice versa. So that's pretty interesting, and I did like how they are kind of frenemies, and I thought it was super cute. After the earth is created, we get to see the Antichrist be placed with a family. Due to some hijinks, he is placed with the wrong family. And I will say this whole part of the book was a little bit confusing for me, but I did kind of like that because I think that was the point, was for it to be confusing, was how the Antichrist wound up with the wrong family. And then we also got to meet a bunch more of our cast, which was super fun. I really enjoyed meeting Family War and Pollution. War I kind of liked a lot. I thought that she was super cool. I made little drawings of them all because I liked how they were so vividly described, and I thought that that really helped to give me a good mental picture of these 3 horsemen. And so overall, those were probably the 3 characters that I had the best mental picture of. There were some characters that were kind of just thrown in that I didn't have the greatest mental picture of, but those 3 I can almost pick out like celebrity lookalikes for them. So those are probably my 3 favorite character descriptions because they were just so vividly described. So after 11 years ago, we get into the days preceding Armageddon. And so these days are probably the parts where I was a little bit bored and a little bit confused and a little bit like, what's going on here? That winds up being Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday, and then Armageddon happens on Saturday. During this time period, in my opinion, not a lot happened. You did get a lot of jokes in there that were super fun, and you met a lot of characters. Like, you met Anathema Device, super weird name, and you also get the introduction of the prophecies of Agnes Nutter, the nice and accurate prophecies of Agnes Nutter, or whatever they're called. And I enjoyed getting to get to know Agnes Nutter a little bit and see how nutty she was. And And so a lot of what you get in this period is more character introductions, but you also get some kind of foreshadowing and leading up to Armageddon. You get to meet them, which is Adam Young, the Antichrist, and his 3 other friends. And I really enjoyed those 4. I thought that they were super fun kids. I thought that Adam was a little creepy at times, but I feel like that kind of fits his whole point. So after Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday, we get to Saturday, which is the day that Armageddon is really gonna come in full swing. And so on Saturday, all of our characters are really at like separate places. They're in different areas and they're all focusing on different things at the time, but then Armageddon starts. And so Adam decides that he wants to change the world, but he doesn't decide that he wants to rule it. He just decides that he doesn't like where the world is headed and where it is, so he wants to change it and make it better. And so he tries to do just that by creating storms and just hanging out with his friends and waiting for the world to just destroy itself. And so then we get our 4 horsemen coming together, and then we get Crawley and Az dealing with the fallout of losing the Antichrist because of the whole shenanigans that happened in the 11 years ago part. A lot is happening for a lot of different characters all at once. It's super cool to see that all come together, and I really like how at the end it does all come together and they all meet at that army base in Tadfield. And I loved that sequence of them all like riding by the same person to get there and them all getting there, and then that whole climactic scene. I thought that was super fun. That was probably one of my favorite scenes actually, was everyone just riding by that one dude. They were like, so I'm kind of lost, do you have directions? And he's just like, what is happening? And I enjoyed it. I did think this book was super fun. I liked so many of the jokes in this book. I lagged so many of the lines that I thought were funny. And I liked how after Armageddon didn't happen, you got Sunday, which was kind of like a little bit of an epilogue, and you got to see Crawley and Az just kind of chilling, essentially saying whatever's gonna happen is gonna happen, and I can respect that attitude. So overall, I really enjoyed this book. I wanted to thank you so much for watching, and I look forward to making more videos in the future. I post videos every Sunday. I will see you then. If you would like to talk about Good Omens, feel free to comment in the comment section down below. If you like this video, please feel free to like and subscribe and ring that little notification bell so you can get notifications for when I post new videos.